Прекрасно. I can speak English. Just in general, I think that Schumann and Schumann's work within the framework of the Rachmaninoff Festival is quite appropriate, because Schumann, quintessential German composer, was very influential in forming the Russian music of the 19th century. Tchaikovsky, Arensky, and many other composers were deeply influenced by not only his musical syntax, but also the imagery, the quintessential Schumannesque mood swings, and also literary imagination. So this is one of the first pieces that the 19-year-old composer wrote, along with another well-known cycle, Papillon, Opus 2, which is translated as Babочки in Russian. It's a series of vignettes, series of short pieces capturing a certain mood, a certain picture or a portrait, and always influenced by literary imagination. In the case of Papillon, it's a masked ball with all the characters. In this case, Schumann writes a variation on the first four notes, A, B in Germany, B flat, E, G, G, and that creates a theme of this piece, which is a fictitious name of a female friend of Schumann's, Countess Abegg. So he was always full of imagination. We also know that Schumann was suffering from a bipolar state, and that also is often clear in his music. So this charming piece has this beautiful flowing theme and a set of 5 variations. And I think the most important thing is its genuine romanticism, and the character changes between the variations and within the variations. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit more. At this point, I will abandon my microphone because it ties me to one place, and I want to be a little more mobile. I hope you will hear me anyway. Beautiful playing, very fluent and very idiomatic. I think that sometimes, and I don't know how easy it is to play this particular piano, sometimes the important thing is just to capture changes or contrasts. For example, in the subject itself, we have the theme that is repeated twice. And the first time it's marked mezzo forte, medium strong sound, followed by pianissimo, which is more like a whisper. And I don't know if it's easy, but I would like to hear a little bit more difference. First time there is a clear flow and direction, and the tone itself is singing. The second time I would be more flexible in my timing. Okay. I would place more rubato, and much more delicate, as if you're whispering into someone's ear. So can we hear the theme one more time, and try to capture that mood change? It's a subtle change, but it's there. Give yourself also a little bit more flexibility flexibility. Pretend that you are a singer.
Okay.
I would play a little deeper into the keys, more legato with inflections. Sorry, I don't have a voice. But just try to play deeper legato, more singing tone. We don't want to get too soft too soon, because then the contrast will not be as special or as magic. So I just would prefer just like imagine first and second violin sections from one of the big orchestras, just playing away with vibrato, singing tone. Part of a dream. And then it's followed by very engaging ebb and flow variation, with starts with rising chords and flowing passage work. And I think you're very good, you know, you're in total command. Sometimes I hear a little bit too much staccato. I want to hear a little bit more line there. Again, just like in the theme, after this rather elaborate and virtuoso succession of harmonies, we hear the theme in the left hand. It's as if it's played by, I don't know, maybe a wind instrument like a bassoon or a clarinet, or rolling chords. You can imagine harp, for example. So again, a little bit more attention to sudden change of mood, change of character. We're not going to play the whole thing, just maybe a few spots, if it's okay with you.
I will stop now.
Yeah, no, I would like to hear the beginning. Maybe just not all the way through.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you make it, instead of but more of a single line? Go get through the changes, the octave jumps, as one big, like a big ocean wave that is, yes. And then I would use a little pedal, otherwise it just sounds too cut and dry. It should be more of a wave. Also, where is the peak of that phrase? There is a sforzando at the top. Just go for it.
Start it a little time.
I would push forward and then take time. Give and take, rubato. I know we have musicians among us, I'm sure, but rubato is a very important term in romantic music. It pertains to flexibility of timing, and it comes from Italian word rubare, to steal. And the implication is that you steal time, but then you give it back, like an honest thief, right? So give and take. So let's try a little bit more of that. I take a little bit more time at the top. So. Like a big wave, peaking at the top and then coming down with relaxation. Yeah, and make sure that you arrive there. You see, you are playing staccato, but now you use the pedal more generously, and that helps. That's definitely helping. So arrive on the dominant, and then change Gala. Yeah, the only thing has to be that one has to stand out. It has to come out. Yeah. The melody itself. Everything else has to be twice as soft. Everything else very soft. Very light and soft. Just the melody. That's better. Sometimes it helps to practice what you have to play with the left hand, the chords and the melody, but distribute it between two hands. Try to keep the chords underneath the melody a little bit softer. Highlight just that tenor voice. Okay. So do it with two hands first, and then with one hand. What I want you to play. Bring out the top. Same thing with left hand alone. See, that's very helpful. And now let's add the fiorituras at the top. The melody. Now the focus of attention has to switch to the passage work to the right hand. Can you show us with more clarity what's happening? Yeah. And maybe more espressivo. Not so staccato. I would play more into the keys, at least at the initiation of that line, of that passage. Right, and the end as light as you can. So as if switching moods once again in the mid passage, right? Trying to be expressive, and then at the end, saying, well, this is just a play. It's not serious, right? One more time. Forte starts, forte. Espressivo. Exactly. So, you switch the mood. The next variation is just a succession of floating rhythmic lines. The right hand quarter notes on the beat, where left hand is between the beat. Syncopations, and in between there are further syncopations in the texture. What I thought you could have done is to move this variation and play it a little bit faster with more sense of flow, because it sounded like you were holding back as if you were continuing variation number 1. You have to separate and change immediately. It just has to kind of glide. At the end of the phrase, but first you need to send the phrase on its way, move it forward, you know?
Yes.
Otherwise it's a hesitation after hesitation. We don't want that. We want more continuous, more direction. Can we start? Start going down, that's where you can take more time. But before move forward, and then that always kind of changeability, you know, of movement. So let's try just this part one more time. Don't start to play free too soon.
Okay.
More direction, and then that would be the other side of this, where you can take time and slow down.
Okay.
But in order to slow down, you need to move forward first. The next variation sounded very brilliant, as it should be. It's a tour de force, show off of someone's virtuosity, right? Let's hear a little bit of it one more time. Very crisp, very light. If anything, I would also like to hear where the phrase starts and where does it reach its high point. So, for example, the bass. That's the sforzando. And then it dissipates, fizzles out. Then we have the bass. So we need that brighter and also a little bit of that. When you play your left hand, can I hear your left hand alone? From here. I want to feel that it crescendos and reaches its peak. Right. When you play those jumps, can you be a little bit more flexible, use a little bit of arm. Instead of doing this, maybe a little more. Maybe a touch of pedal crescendo. And then again, you have to come to the peak, right? Try it again, and a little bit more kind of circular, almost circular motion.
Just left hand or?
Yeah, left hand. Yes, something like that.
Okay.
Now let's add the brilliant passage work in the right hand together. Relax. All this brilliant virtuosity is wonderful, but you need a conductor. And that conductor is your left hand, and the harmonic language. I mean, the progressions that you have and the sforzandos. So the right hand is a brilliant soloist, and the left hand is your conductor. Okay. So the conductor shapes the line, right? And then what follows is this very dreamy scene, as if from some fairy tale, right? Do you have any program? Schumann often, as I mentioned, had literary allusions. So it's always interesting to imagine things, you know, extra musical things, like a story. I don't know if you ever thought of a story behind this piece.
My story is just like his youth dreams that he has.
Youthful dreams, right? Yes. So let's hear a little bit of the next variation. It sounds a little bit intense, but also I think you can maybe shape the line a little bit more. If you start, you know, sorry. Like go to the top and then relax, and the trill. The trill itself, I think, should be on the background, don't you think?
Like feathers.
Like feathers, exactly. Yeah. Here, a little bit more overreaching gesture to the top. I would also move towards the top, and then stretch and relax. Not right away. So it will be like are creating it on the spur of the moment.
Right.
How are we doing time-wise?
It's okay.
Are we okay? Because, you know, sometimes you forget about time. It's 6:45. So basically, let's just summarize. So in this variation, try to be as free as you can and as imaginative as you can. The timing has to be very flexible. Pam, pam, pa, 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 pam, pa. And also the touch and the difference between melodic line and light background, such as trills, is very important. And the final one, the final variation is like a rondo, and you have very good control and very, very nice style of playing. And it sounds very nice. So maybe we should move to the Rachmaninoff.
Of course. Thank you.
Yes. I will leave here. Okay, so let's hear the Rachmaninoff Etude Tableau, Etude Cantina. And then we can have a more informal part of the class. performance. Very powerful, brilliant, very good fingers. Rachmaninoff wrote those 2 books of etudes and called them almost enigmatically Etude Tableau, Etude Kartiny in Russian, picture studies. But Rachmaninoff was very private as a human, as a person, and he never wanted to tell anyone anything about what are those pictures are about. Whenever he was asked, he would just refer to the music. There was one exception when the Italian composer Ottorino Respighi was commissioned to orchestrate 4, I believe, of those etudes. He wrote to Rachmaninoff asking him to describe what is behind the music, what are those pictures. Unfortunately, the one that you just played was not one of them. But the next one, Opus 39, number 2, the A minor one. Rachmaninoff described it as the seascape and the seagulls, the birds, hovering above. That was his image. And the other A minor etude, number 6 from Opus 39, was referred to as the tale of the Little Red Riding Hood, Krasnaya Shapochka. And there you hear that story in the music. So the question is, what do you hear in this etude? What is your imagination tells you?
To me, it's like really dark, really goofy, kind of
Yeah,
really
it's
agitated, kind of dark.
dark and agitated, but is it anything more specific? To me, it's also clearly a tale about a sea or an ocean. It's an oceanscape with waves coming, going. It's just like Scriabin's Sonata Fantasy. Of the second movement of the same thing. So I would use a little bit more pedal, and you know. And then in the middle, I would also use a little bit more pedal. Because you have a pedal point, and then finally here. It's as if from the darkness and the turbulence of the waves, suddenly the sun came out, and you see this beautiful scenery with the sun reflected in the waters, and so I would need a little more pedal here, a little bit more calm, crisp and clear, and bringing out the more. Melodic outposts have to kind of cut through a little bit more.
Sure.
And then it gradually descends and switches to scherzando scene, which may be like all the sea creatures start, popping out and making a scene, and it just gets more and more engaged.
Okay.
So can we try? Sure. hear a bubble rising and falling of the waves. And you may disagree with this, you know, because it's only my interpretation.
I mean, I agree. I definitely agree with you with everything that you said. I'm still working on these, but these wave things.
Yeah, I want to feel those waves. And that's very important to have the right imagery. And also, I wanted to feel that you have a climax, that it's not just a succession of subjects, but you're building to somewhere, and I think that somewhere is the last page, so you need to be a little more dramatic.
Okay.
And maybe not be too big before that, not as big.
Okay.
So the piece has its moment, its high moment, its peak, its climax, right?
And same for you too, like into the climax too.
Yes, it's a local climax. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the climax of the
Okay.
whole piece, and that's at the end. And it's quite dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's as if there is a shipwreck, you know, and things get smeared and crushed. But the syncopation, not only the first note, but the second, that was very good, because I really felt where the ebb and flow of that wave was. Yeah, it has to come here, and then it's so different. Okay, let's pick up where we left off. Let's keep going. Good. Ta 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 ti ta 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 ta. Also rubato. And then when you arrive at that fortissimo where we just stop, we have a tug of war between the hands. You have a strong bass in the left hand, but the right hand has to highlight right? So left, right, and left, right. So we need a little bit more of those high points. It's basically, so that's why it's like a tremolo, that kind of sound, yeah. Exactly. I would try to keep the bass, which means don't change pedal if you can help. If you can help.
Yeah, because usually I don't use pedal right here to like do the
Well,
change of mood. That's right.
you know, you also have to adjust sometimes. If the hall is very reverberant, like a church, then you use less pedal. But if the hall, and I have a feeling this is not the most acoustically forgiving hall, then you need more pedal. Otherwise, it sounds too dry.
Okay.
But I think you need the bass. You can always vibrate the pedal. I think it sounds better than it's too dry without the pedal. resolution. Yes. But we need we really need that high octave in the left hand. That's where the crust or the crest of the wave rests, right? Yeah, that's where the magic happens. From the dark turbulence comes the sunlight, right? And I think the pedal point is important, and I like the way you took time now. You were more generous with your time. And finally, we arrived at this beautiful, peaceful section. Let's hear it. So in the right hand, we have those staccatos. I would play a little bit more, if you can help, just to the right hand. Just yeah, as if we have the sunshine, the blinding, but gentle at the same time because of the reflections in the water. And then you have those little sparks, and those are the staccatos. And then the left hand, let's hear the left hand. So, yeah, you can imagine like French horn, and round sound, but it has to come out.
Okay.
Let's hear both hands. Make sure that every listener hears those notes, right? It's the have to come out. I mean, it's not easy here, right, on this piano. But let's try. Let's give it another try. Landscape with polyphonic colors, right? In the right as well as the left hand. And from there on, we start this whimsical, playful, kind of weird sounding section, right? So I would start very quiet, very light, and little by little, get more and more excited. Yeah, but not just that. It's not the speed, it's that. You have to be, again, more creative, give and take. It's not just metronomic, not mechanical rhythm, but playful.
There's a pulse.
Yeah, kind of whimsical pulse. Here you also need more. You need the different voices. You have the chords with papa, papa. Then you have the tenor line in the left hand goes further and continues. And then you have syncopated chords, everything. So this is the highest point of this sequence, right?
Yeah.
So bring both, I mean, all of the elements, more left hand. I want to hear more. I want the line, the left hand line, the bass line, a little bit clearer. Something sinister, right? And then we are repeating, we go back to the first subject, but with the ostinato, with the repeated bass line, as if somebody is just following you, and it's kind of intense and scary. And then it gradually builds and builds and builds. I want to skip around, if you don't mind. And I want to get to the climax, which bursts out in the open. Let's get to it a little bit. Can we start somewhere there? Or, yeah. Closed in, ta 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 pa pam. You're about to have this big climax, yes? So I want you to be a little bit more preparatory of that. Okay. Yeah, you need the bass. To scream, you know, and here it should feel like you are an orchestra, big reverberant sound, right? Sequence of the chords, which moves forward and accelerates, right? I think in order to make it work, you have to start slow, bum, bing, bum, 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 as if you're pulling back suddenly.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think somebody's trying to get in. The last one is separate. Ya-da-da-dam! Yeah. Don't be afraid. Ya-da-dam. It has to be, you know, with pedal, of course. You have to be freer. Ya-da-da-dum, bum, 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 ba-bum.
Okay.
You know, very, very declamatory and dramatic. Can you try that?
Of course.
So this has to be a new motion. Ya-ba-ba-bum from the top. Ba-ba-ba-bum. You know what I mean?
Do I start from here or
Yeah.
just?
And this has to feel like somebody is not letting you
I see.
play bum, 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 bim, bum, 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 bim. That much slower. And then you slowly accelerate. Tops up, nasty. No, that's da-da-da-dum, pom, pom, pom. Yeah, it's one gesture, da-da-da-dum, all the way to the down. Yeah. Yeah, crescendo. Move from your upper body. Tom, tom, pom, pom. Better. Yeah, a little bit more dramatic. Sorry. You know, it's very dramatic ending. Yes, something like that. So very forward, dramatic. You know, you have to hold your audience in your, you know, under your spell, so to speak. But very good playing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So maybe there are some questions.
We have
1 second.
Thank you so much for coming tonight and being with us for this opening music gala. Thanks, Bo Feng, for your wonderful performance. While we have another 15 minutes, I would like you, if you have questions and you would like to ask Dr. Dmitry Rachmanov, maybe any questions you're interested in, you're welcome to ask.
Just something short, please.
Something short.
Yeah.
But what is it that you would like me to say?
It's your choice.
Maybe there are some questions. Well, yes?
Can I ask a question? I've heard an opinion that Rachmaninoff was, it's just an opinion, that Rachmaninoff was not even a romantic composer, even though he lived at that time, but like the last of the classical composers. What is your opinion about that? I never perceived him that way, but I think there's some truth to that.
Well, I think Rachmaninoff was deeply rooted in the Russian tradition of Tchaikovsky, whom he adored and worshipped as a young man and emulated in his early works. Tchaikovsky, of course, was Rachmaninoff's mentor at a certain period, in a crucial period early in Rachmaninoff's career, when Rachmaninoff wrote his graduation work, one-act opera, Aleko. Tchaikovsky heard it and he proposed that Rachmaninoff joins him in presenting this in the Bolshoi or in the Mariinsky Theater. I think it was in the Bolshoi Theater, in conjunction with Tchaikovsky's premiere of his last opera, Iolanta, which was a one-act opera. And for the second part of the bill, of the production, he invited young and unknown Rachmaninoff to join him. So that influence was always a part of Rachmaninoff's legacy as a composer. So you may call it a romantic tradition. It depends on the terminology. I think that Tchaikovsky was a romantic composer in the Russian mold of the word, and because of the times where he lived and when he lived, and the influences that he experienced. And Rachmaninoff was just a carrier of that tradition. I don't know if that fully explains it, but at least this is part of the explanation, I think. And of course, Rachmaninoff carried that tradition into the early 20th century. He was a traditionalist. He did not really accept the modernist traditions or modernist changes that occurred in the early 20th century. I don't think he was much in favor of anything that was being written, including French composers such as Debussy, Ravel, or even Russian compatriots such as Stravinsky or Prokofiev. He was a traditionalist. So you can call him anything, but that's what I think he was.
Oh, some lady, she wants to.
Yes?
Well, I'm a visual artist, so I found it interesting that you kept urging the pianist to imagine a visual image. Is that something that you normally do when you play a piece?
Not necessarily, but at the same time, I often feel that it can open up your imagination as a performer. You can play with more colors, more freedom, more imagination, basically.
Fluidity, maybe.
And in this case, the first piece written by Robert Schumann was part of that tradition which Schumann represented, the binding of music with other arts, such as visual and particularly dramatic and literary arts. And in the case of Rachmaninoff, the titles, Etude Tableau, called for something other than just pure music. Tableau meaning a painting or a picture, or a story perhaps, but something external to. And I think that is always very helpful.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? I'm a little bit blinded. So. Yes, please.
I'm sorry, this is my second question, but talking about imagery, we talked about that, and then earlier in the masterclass you brought up Stravin's name, and so I was just thinking maybe you could give your opinion about that theory that how Stravin related color with music. Because
Yes.
I know that there's very few people in the world that are synesthetic, but it's a concept, so maybe you could explain.
Yes, Scriabin was one. Well, first of all, Scriabin was a classmate of Rachmaninoff. When they were in their early teens, they studied with the same teacher, Nikolai Zverev. And later on, their paths were very, very divergent. Rachmaninoff, as I mentioned, was steeped in the Russian tradition, whereas Scriabin was always looking for something new, something futuristic, something avant-garde, which he found in his own way. And one of the things was the connection of keys or tonalities, musical keys with the colors. And for Scriabin, he was a synesthetic. He saw colors associated with certain keys or tonalities, and he was very specific. For him, the key of C, the note C was red, and so on. And in about 1910, Scriabin created this grand poem, which he called Prometheus, poem for a full symphony orchestra with chorus, with a piano solo, and with a color score accompanying music. So, in his vision, this grand symphonic work would be performed with color accompanying the music. So it's a very interesting sphere. In his grand project, imaginary project, he was working towards writing a grand mysterium where all of the arts and human senses would be merged into one final act, as he called it. It was a cataclysmic idea. But yes, for him, colors and sounds were all connected in his world. Very interesting composer. Scriabin was a bridge between the Romanticism and the avant-garde in the Russian music. His style progressed dramatically. Early works resembled Chopin and a little bit of Tchaikovsky. And then by the middle years, he was very much under the Wagner and Liszt's influence. And at the end of his life, which was cut short at the age of 43, he died very suddenly. But the style in which he wrote was unlike anything else. He created his own musical vocabulary, which was very avant-garde. Yes. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, and we hope to see you tomorrow. Susanna?
So, we have one more thing to accomplish tonight, and before we do it, I invite you tomorrow. Please join us at noon. I hope you're gonna enjoy it. Such a beautiful music and wonderful performers tomorrow. You at least a little bit got a sense what's gonna happen tomorrow by a little bit performance by Dmitry Rachmanov. Thank you so much for wonderful masterclass. Our applause. And I would like to invite the last time tonight, Wolfgang, please come here. We would like to give you this certificate of participation, and thanks for your wonderful job today, and we're honored to have you tonight with us.
So well and so beautiful.
I hope you be better soon after your coaching.
Sure. Opens one's imagination.
See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.